All right, everyone, welcome to the Crushing Land, the podcast dedicated to unlocking the secrets for successful land investing. I'm your host, Jonathan from the Land Method. And as you know, each week we tackle a different relevant topic, bringing you insights, strategies, expert advice to help you to thrive in your land investing world. I will say that unlike some shows where the host claims to implement every new idea immediately, it's basically for a dramatic effect. We're more about we're not really about taking action for action's sake. So, like for tonight, we often have special guests that join us for longer live sessions, providing unique perspectives. They provide you expert knowledge. Our goal isn't for you to emulate everything that you hear here on this show, but to share success stories, innovative strategies, golden nuggets that others have found effective. And then your job is to take that and to sift through it and decide, hey, what resonates with me, what makes sense for your unique investing journey. So if you're catching this later on replay, you want to join us live next time we have a guest, keep an eye on our Facebook group. Look at your inbox. We send out notifications weeks in advance. So you'll have plenty of time to tune in and participate real time. So tonight, we're joined by Anshul Sharma. Anshul started land investing less than a decade ago. He's now running a seven-figure-a-year land investing company. And as many of you saw, he's projected to hit 8 figures this year in that company. And despite what you may feel hearing that, thinking, well, it's got to be this level, Anshul's actually kept the same investment strategy he adopted at the beginning. He's had simple growth. He's done these things by putting a team together, adding in processes, accelerating growth through delegating, through training, through duplicating. So whether or not you want to get to that same level or not, there's something to be said for following that standard process rather than jumping around like so many do. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So as a reminder for those that are here live with us, this is interactive. We will answer your questions at the end. So you could post those questions in the chat, or again, we'll unmute you and let you turn your cameras on and microphones at the end, and you can ask them yourselves if that's what you prefer to do. So that being said, let's get ready to crush it, right, in land investing. So this is Crushing Land with Anshul. So Anshul, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Happy to have you here. I've known you for basically since you started land investing. We were just talking about that, right? Genus and I were at the very first land investing event that you went to. And then we remember you continued to go. And one of the things Genus and I were talking about the other day that really stood out with you right from the get-go that we always noticed was you were, I think tenacious would be a good word for you. You like inserted yourself like right into like the mix right from the get-go, even when you knew nothing. You were like hanging around with us, asking the questions, trying to go to lunch with us, doing all of those things, you know, to basically just get out the gate running, right? I mean, Genus just said was not afraid to ask questions.
Yeah. Hey, first of all, thanks for having me. It's like, life coming full circle, Jonathan, where you start and it's been like a couple years and, we kind of running into this parallel track of like doing land investing. Everybody kind of have their own style of doing it, but I'm excited to have come back here, to this audience. 2017, I remember it, very vividly when that kind of formula was laid out in front of me. And at that point in time, man, I was just running from a job that I absolutely did not like. I appreciated it that I was making 6 figures at that point in time in my job. I was almost at 160, 180 when I quit it, but I didn't like it. I was just dreading it. Then I found this and I was like, man, this is exciting. And I get to hang out with like guys like you and we talking like money. And I'm like, man, this is cool. I can do this. And from there, it just took off. So
yeah, I remember. So, I mean, is that what inspired you? I mean, we go back to your start. Was the job what inspired you to get started in land investing? Obviously, you came from another country. You mentioned that.
yeah.
You mentioned that you're stuck with us. You have family there. I mean, how did you choose this as your initial thing? What was the reasoning?
Yeah, well, one was job, but I wasn't able to justify after being in this country for 2 to 3 years. I wasn't able to justify like really why I left my family. I mean, money couldn't be the only thing, and I can even visit them because the place I was working, they only give you 10, 12 days in a year to kind of do anything, go on vacation and stuff like that. And like, man, flight to India take 2 days, coming back take 2 days. You have 6 days of hangover, right? All that jet lag and all that kind of stuff coming back from the country. I'm like, I'm left with 3 to 4 days, 5 days to spend with my family entire year. And like that doesn't add up. It makes zero sense for me to do this just for money. It ain't gonna happen. The job will not work for me. I don't care whether I'm making six figures. I have to figure out something which gives me not only more money, but like freedom of time. If I want to hop on a
Yeah.
flight like tomorrow morning, I shouldn't be thinking twice. I just need to be in front of my family. They need me and all that kind of stuff. And so the whole W-2 thing was really not working for me. And I just decided that I have to have something on my own to give that time freedom. So yeah, that was the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's affected more by pain than by anything else. I mean, I think that's true. We talk about that a
Yes.
lot. So many people like are like, "Oh, I got to hit money. I got to do this. I got to do this."
Yeah,
But in reality, pain is the biggest motivator, right? I mean, on some level.
it is. And I tell you what, for the next 6 years, I did not go to India. Like
Yeah, and
for
now
the
you're
next six
spending,
years, I did
right?
not go to India. And the whole plan was I'm not gonna go India unless I completely figure this out. Like super and then COVID hit. And I'm like, damn, okay, seventh year, I'm not going to India. And then now I go to India every twice in a year and all that kind of stuff, or when they call me, or when my family needs it. So I would say in last 6, 7 years, I just met my goal that I want to be with my family when and they can come over and spend as much time as with us as as they want. So, anyways, so that was the
Yeah,
pain
it
at
works
that.
both ways, right? You can fly them to see you now. You're in the position to be able to do that if
Correct.
need be to whatever works. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll talk about with you really from the beginning because I think you excelled in this and we're just kind of speaking general here because we'll get into like a little bit of specifics because obviously you've
Right.
grown. But when you first started investing and the criteria you were using, do you still follow that
100%.
basic premise today?
I tell you, I joined land for two reasons. One, you can do it remote and you need no money. And that stuck with me last 7 years. People ask me, hey, how many deals you buy? I buy nothing. 95% of my deal still wholesale or flip, double close, pass through, whatever it takes, right? And that's the reason I was able to kind of bootstrap the company and put that money back into the company to hire more people because we don't need capital in more or less, to kind of run the business. I mean, you can have transactional funding. There are enough great transactional funders out there. And I was like, okay, how many times you want to do this? And so that kind of really inspired me. People keep talking about you need money to make money, and that's true to some extent. But you don't need a whole lot to really run a business, especially the one, what we're doing over here in land. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And putting it back in is smart. We talk about that all the time. Put money back into your business.
right,
That's a huge thing that you did well. And obviously, we talk about transactional funding as well because at the very beginning, somebody may not have anything and they need to do that. But obviously, if you can start funding your own deals,
right.
even if it's set 2 seconds, right? Even if you're owning it and flipping it and getting I tell people that all the time. I actually showed it in the group. I'm like, here's my wire out, here's my wire in. It's like minutes apart. So
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. So in that case, I mean, let's just talk about your strategy, your approach a little bit. A lot of it stayed consistent. And again, this is kind of like the 30,000 foot view. You don't have to give super
Yeah.
high details here, but how has it evolved then over the years? What do you think the biggest evolution is for you?
Man, I just almost do nothing in my company. Anything you can think of, it has been either outsourced or I have people that I have personally trained. And I can say hours and hours now. And the whole idea was to kind of build a business that can run without me, at least $1 million business in revenue. If that's what we guys are interested in. And so think about doing comps, think of being on the phone, think on being negotiating deals, think about closing, even wire in, wire outs, think of selling the deal, finding a buyer, all of that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff in the company, right? And I just took one thing at a time and I just started hiring people and just kind of training them personally. Something that I have always done till this day. I hire people and I train them. I train them to the point they are being duplicated in some ways. It won't be like a one-to-one match ever. But hey, if somebody can do 60, 70% of what you can, I mean that's a win because that kind of frees up your time and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so we're kind of doing the same thing, but I focused intentionally over these years to train people as I bring them on. So I hope
Yeah,
that I'll kind of help answer your
yeah.
question.
That's great. It's awesome. And I would actually add to this, and maybe you've seen this because I've seen it over the years, that you mentioned maybe they can only do things 65, 70%, which is true. But there's also the flip side of that where there's something that you completely stink at and you train them and they like double the output that you can do.
100%. There are people on my team. I don't want to do their job. I don't, and the reason I don't want to do their job because I don't know how to do their job. They're unique. They're better than me, and more power to them. And you want those teammates on your team, and you want to treat them well because now they're basically like kind of substituting for your weaknesses, and which is great.
Yeah, very good. So let's go back just for a second to beginners. You know where you started, and if you were to give a piece of advice or a key to success for somebody that's like just looking at this for the first time, or maybe is just starting out, or done a deal or two, kind of like where you were when we first met you. What would you say is moving forward is what they should implement and put into play right now, like a good key to success for them?
Man, I would say, and it's very basic, but treat it like a business. You got to show up every day. Like I don't see many business owners like fully, completely committed to their own business, which really surprised me. They want to do this, do they want to do that? And then they see they're falling, their business falling apart, and they're trying to figure out. The first thing you need to do is like really get committed. And whatever business you want to do, 500,000, quarter of a million, million, 10 million, and matter, you got to get committed to it. And once you get committed, then everything kind of falls in place. You'll figure it out because there's so many problems going in business all the time. But if you're not committed, you'll say, man, this problem is too big to solve. And you're trying to start finding another business, right? And like the grass is always greener on the other side. Well, somebody was like pasturing it for a long time. That's why it's green. You got to look at your stuff and see, hey, what's going on here? What I'm missing. So I would say commitment. And I know people talk about this all the time, but I do not see business owners committed. Like people come to me and say, hey, how do I hire people with calm? Or how do I teach them calm? I'm like, dude, get on a Zoom call, spend some time, show people how to do comms, give them some exercise, see what they come back, and see if they're doing it right. And if they're doing it right, keep doing it. And before you know, you have one or two people doing comms for you. How about that? If two people can do comms for you, your business is double, and you have more free time over the weekend to spend with your family. But you got to put that time up front. And you don't want to put
Yeah.
that time, and then you want to find people, and they leave you, and you leave them. Like, okay, it doesn't work that way.
I love when people say that's a perfect example because we have people all the time to say like, well, you can't teach that, and I'm like, well, how'd you learn? you figured it out. You learned it, so obviously you can teach it to other people. And what you said aligns, I think, really well with one of the things that I've taught right from the beginning. As long as I've been educating for myself or with others or anything, I have always said the biggest. It's very very aligns very much, not the same exact words, but aligns with you. What you just said is you got to stay consistent. If you're
Mhm.
not consistent and you're not just doing, and then the next thing I always tell people is pump up the volume. So you
Yeah.
got to build the consistency first, and then from there you look at ways to grow by bringing up. And obviously, one way of doing that is doing more deals and doing. But obviously, you hit ceilings with that, so you got to bring in team members.
Yeah.
You got others, so it's still, but you never lose that consistency, or else you're just starting back over, and you gotta,
Mhm.
like you said, and people always are sitting there questioning things, and
Yeah.
that's such a nightmare. That's in every business. People do that, and it's terrible.
I think it kind of ties like why you're doing it, right? Like have your why very clear. Because if you know why you're doing it, you're not gonna feel tired, you're not gonna feel burned out, you're gonna go the extra mile, you're gonna get it done. But if the why is still not clear, why you want to wake up and do this hard work, because running a business is hard. Let's just be honest with it, okay? It's hard, and you're not gonna do it unless your why is clear. Why you want to do this. Clear your why. And once you know your why, everything seems a little bit simpler than you thought it is, and that kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have it clearly defined. I agree with that 100%. And on top of that, one of the other things is, like what you just said, I reiterate that all the time because people, there's so many people out there that tell you how easy this is, right? It's so easy to be a real estate investor. Well, if that's the case, then how come every person in the country isn't one? Right?
Yeah.
It's like if it was as easy as like infomercials and gurus and all of this stuff puts out. Don't get me wrong, we get paid very well for what we do, but
Mhm.
it's still building it. It's still not the deals don't just fall in your lap and rain from heaven, and that's kind of the way I think a lot of people feel about it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people have been sold on that this is easy. It's not easy, but it's fun and it's worth doing.
Yeah.
So,
And we get paid well for the work that we do. I mean, that's the way I tell, you can go work for another company and grind and make what you were saying, $150,000, $160,000 a year, or you can go do the same grind for yourself and make many times that, but it takes time to get that going. And
yeah,
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 perfect, perfect. So let's talk just for a few minutes about that team building, because you talked about that, building a team, building out. So how did you decide, like, or maybe it was your goal right from the beginning, you knew you were going to do it or whatever it is, but how did you decide, okay, this is it, it's time to build a team, I need to
right.
look at some roles that I need to outsource and do this right now? How did that come to fruition?
I'll just tell you the real story how I built the team. Okay. And now I can be like, hey, this is how I always thought about it, but that wasn't the case. So I had a W-2, okay, and this is how I used to do it. I had a very busy W-2. Freaking MBAs, they do not let MBAs go sit on the decks and pay $160,000. I can tell you that. So I was a very busy guy in my W-2, making presentation, giving presentation, and all that kind of crap. Not liking it, but anyways, the only time I had to do anything is after 6 when I left my job, right? And at that point, what I was doing comps because that was technical. I don't want to screw up my offer. I don't want to get it. So I was doing comps. Over the weekend, what I was doing comps because I was sending these letters during the day. Pat Live used to be the thing. They take the phone call, the leads come in. I gotta send an offer, right? And I was like, man, uh, this like I spend my entire week in front of computer and then I come over the weekend, and then I have to spend again my entire Saturday, Sunday in front of a computer. Not that I'm complaining, but this is clearly a bottleneck. Okay. And so that was one of the earliest things that I figured out that I need to clear off my plate. Okay. And from there, it started like I just literally grabbed a person. It was a VA at that point in time. I say, hey, would you like to learn comms? I'm like, what are you talking about? But I need help with comms. So she's like, okay, I'll do it. And she was the first person I te taught comms. And she created an amazing problem in my company because now imagine she was doing full-time comms for me while I was in my full-time job. So what did that happen? I started cranking up my letters because Pat Live was taking my phone calls. She was making offers, and I would just let her do comms and send the offer, and I was just waiting for the phone call or the call to come back to me to say, hey, I want to sell this property or negotiate, whatever the case is, right? I was like, man, this is taking business to the next level. So, here we go. Now I have a comms person. And then and she did so many we have so many properties under contract. The next thing is all these contracts sitting, and who's gonna send it to the title company? Who's gonna open escrow on this? I'm like, man, that's another whole different problem coming up. Hire a transaction person. Again, all these people from Philippines at that time. She was a smart girl. She's like, I'll take care of it for you. I trained her. The next thing I know, she's taking care of the contracts. So she's putting them in all that kind of stuff. I say, okay, I can do sales on that side because back in the days, the contract used to come signed back in the mailbox. So there's not much phone conversation going on with the seller per se, right? Not the time that changed. After like, okay, now I have all these 17 properties to list. I'm not gonna do this Craigslist thing, man. It ain't gonna happen. Like this is too much work. I say, all right, hire the person. Hey, can you do Craigslist for me? Yeah, sure. I used to sell properties off of Craigslist at that time. Marketplace wasn't the thing, I guess, back in the days. In MLS and all that kind of stuff. I said, okay, this is good. I can take the phone call. Once this guy put the property on MLS or whatever, I can take the phone calls, and I started closing deals. I was like, this is working. And I was making like quarter of a million or 200K. I just kind of just doing this with two or three people at
Overseeing, yeah,
yeah just,
managing.
yeah, managing, just like even when I was like in at my W-2, I'm like, man, okay, I can quit my
So,
job.
so at this point now, you've actually you've got a team, you're overseeing them, but you told us what you made in your W-2, so you're actually making more now.
Yeah,
Now at this point now, you've exceeded your W-2 income.
Exactly. And I was like, okay. And I'm not like, I was literally kind of taking in like 350, 400K a year, combine my W-2 and like, okay, this is good. So I knew at that point that I can quit my job. I have found a solution in my life that will allow me to quit my job. And that feeling that you know something and you have an exit, that was one of the greatest things that I kind of found. My job wasn't that of a burden for me anymore. I think my internet is kind of going in and out. But my job wasn't like once you find out that you have exit, you have options, then it's a matter of time when you want to quit it. And it was interesting when I quit it because I was on a visa and all that kind of stuff. But I know, hey, I have an exit here, okay, and that kind of stuff. But anyways, this is how I scaled the company. Now, of course, when you want to do like 10 million and 5 million in revenue and whatever, there are complexities when kick in. But $500,000 company could be, I wouldn't say easily set up, but it's not that hard to set up 500,000, $1 million revenue company.
Yeah, well, easy enough. We can, I mean, I guess we can leave it at easy enough that you did it while working a full-time job,
Correct.
and we're still
Yeah.
able to have that in place. And honestly, it's easier now. Like you mentioned, some of the things that we had to do and the way we did everything, 7 years ago is not the same now. It's technology has made it easier. So
Yeah.
how does this look now though for you? I mean, you've got a much bigger team because obviously you're like you said, running 5, 10 million. So
Yeah.
how do you manage? Because you said you're out of it too, mostly out of it. So how do you manage and delegate to make sure that this new level that you're at,
Yeah.
runs smoothly?
Yeah. I mean, nothing is perfect, far from being perfect, but um, look, in your journey, you will find people who want to grow with you, whether they're overseas or whether they're here. And your job is as a business owner to identify those people and give them more opportunity and kind of let them take the lead, right? So when like today, I have a person who leads the comms team, right? He always wanted to grow, so I was like, hey, okay, I'll let you take the lead on this thing, right? And so as you're growing the company, you need to give people the confidence that this is a place for them to grow. Because if people don't see what the next level in their life is working with you, they're gonna leave for another investor who's gonna probably pay them $1 more or $2 more. And people do that all the time. So it's your responsibility to tell them if they were to stay with you, how you can make a difference in their lives, right? Hey, look, this is the next 5 level, 3 level looks in my organization. If you stay with me, this is probably what the compensation looks like. This is what the opportunity looks like. Hey, look, people are hungry for title. Somebody wants to be a manager. Somebody wants to be a senior manager. People find that very, very satisfying why they're coming to work. Nobody wants to be called a VA, by the way. Okay, who wants to call VA? Like your companies are run by people overseas and you want to call them VA? Nobody likes to call VA. Give them a title. It takes nothing away from you. Okay. So treat them, train them, and then promote them.
Yeah.
And you got to tell them ahead of time where this ship is going so they can see themselves fit and growing. Otherwise, they're going to leave to
I,
another
I
investor.
love the human aspect there. I think that's
Yeah.
huge because I think so many people, I don't want to say, maybe it is right. I think so many people tend to focus or even get bogged down on just the business aspect
Yeah.
that they forget that those are people on the other side of this. And yes, they're employees and stuff, but they're still people. And that's, and some of the best companies in the world, you go read any business book, even companies that existed 100 years ago or still exist. It
Yep.
was, and why they, like Walmart, I think is a perfect example that they use in a lot of books, why it was so good and then why it tanked
Yep.
was because of how they viewed their people. And it
People.
was like, it was a privilege to work there, and everybody was respected and all that. And then when he died and everything changed and a new CEO, then it takes, so it's been repeated over and over and over in history, but yet history repeats itself and people still forget, right? So I think that's a huge point.
Yeah.
um
If you want to scale business, you gotta start I wouldn't say start treating people well, but you gotta really think about people working for you in your organization. What's the opportunity for them? Because otherwise you're gonna end up running this business all by yourself for the rest of your life. I mean, that's the reality of it. If you want to build $1 million business and only want to do it, as Tim Ferriss says, 4-hour work week, right? That's the kind of, by the way, he screwed an entire generation with that 4-hour work week. There's nothing 4-hour work week. Okay. We all screwed at this time. But if you want to get close to that reality, you gotta have people doing this for you, compensate them, show them the path, so they are willing to come in, do it with with all the grace, and that point in time you might have a little bit of business going on. So if you go on vacation, you still not things not stopping. You don't have to do that wire. You don't have to take that phone call from the buyer to put the property in the contract, right? Everybody wants that kind of business. So I would say just spend some time upfront. It's not going to take you years. It might take you months, but if you do it right and you spend some time, probably in a year, you'll find a business that really working for you, at least in that 6-7 figure range. That's what I've experienced in my business.
Yeah, very good. That's awesome. So we talked people here for a minute. Let's shift gear just a little bit to tools and software. Now,
Yeah.
everyone uses different tools, everyone uses different software. So I'm not going to ask you, what tools or what specific software or anything like that you recommend. But like I'll phrase it in a way of more along the lines of what specific aspects of your business should you be looking at a tool or a software to streamline your operations? Because there's people involved, but obviously they have to have something besides just them, right? They have to have other things involved.
I would say that more than tools and software, I would focus on process. Okay. That's what streamlines your business. Have a clarity on process and document it. Okay. Look, no software is perfect. Software are like, hey, it's what you design them, and that kind of stuff. So, any software, all softwares out there might just fit your business well. Okay. It's that's what it is. I mean, if you're $1 million, 2 million, probably something like, I'm not gonna take names, but Pebble and maybe Investment Dominator. I don't know. There are a bunch of out there. Okay. I don't care. But my
We
point
see
being,
around.
more than system and tools, I would focus on process. So people, process, and everything else kind of comes after. And I'm not going to emphasize too much in process, because if you're a growing company, your process keeps changing. But once you have figured out things in your business that do not move, at least month over month, right? Hey, what's the process to do comms? If you're trying to bring somebody on board, okay, you want to create a process. This is like 10-step process to comp any property. Okay, put those processes in place. Bring a person on board, give them the 10 steps, create 10 videos. The next thing you know, that person knows, at least to a certain level, how to do comps. Meet with them once or twice a week, and now you have a person doing comps for you. That's it. So people, and then process, and then comes tools. Of course, land ID, people use, there's so many tools out there. So tools and systems are only good, but you got to focus on people first and then process.
Yeah. And I think part of the problem, I think two things I've heard from you. Well, one thing I just heard, and another thing I've heard over and over and over again, which is huge. I really want this to resonate because you've said it numerous times, is it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And everybody, I think, wants perfection. They're like, oh, I want this thing to work. It doesn't work that way. It's never going to work that way. So that's huge.
Yeah.
And then obviously the thing that you just talked about, like, with the different tools and all of that, there's a lot of different things out there. But I think a big problem that people have when they have tools, and a lot of it's based on who puts them out, they tell you like, oh, this is going to do 99%. And that's not true. It doesn't do 99% for you, because there still has to be a person behind it doing it. It's like,
Yes. Somebody got to hit the keys for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think tools are great, guys, but it's not going to help you scale the business. I mean, Pebble doesn't runs on its own.
yeah, nothing does. Yeah. I mean, it's just like a car. I mean, a car is great and it gets you from here to there, it gets you from here to there quicker than walking does, if you need it, but you still need a driver, right? And that's the part that I think a lot of people people miss. Let's talk about, because you talked about your growth a lot.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about challenges a little bit, because when we had people signing up for this, we've got a few dozen people on here,
Yeah.
and it seemed like almost everyone here that registered mentioned struggling with scaling, right? It was by far the biggest challenge that we heard from everybody that was registered. What do you need help with in 2025? What are you struggling with? Scaling, getting to the next level. So What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you've obviously have some challenges you face scaling to a seven-figure, pushing
Yeah.
eight-figure business. So what do you say to that?
I mean, depends, man, where people are in their scaling journey. The struggle to scale a eight-figure business is different than to struggle to scale a 6 to 7 figure, right?
Yeah, well, let's okay. Yeah, let me rephrase that then. Let's talk about somebody that's looking to do low to mid six figures because that's
Yeah.
where most people are at least going to be at this juncture.
Right. I mean, I think people just don't like to spend time hiring and training people, man. I don't know how else to say. I have 10 people in my company. All they do is comps. Okay. I have 10 people overseas. All they do is cold calling. Okay. Everyone being trained either by me or a team lead. Where did a team lead come from? I hired the person and I trained them. And then they become the team lead. And then you let them train 3 more people. Right. So this is what I would advise. Okay. Go out there, interview people, talk to people, put a process, whatever position you're hiring for. You're hiring for comps, put a framework together. If you were to tell this to somebody, how gonna do it? 10 steps, 20 steps, whatever your way of doing comps is. Create 20 videos. It's not gonna take you more than a weekend to do it. You don't have to go super deep, nothing. 20 videos. Go to Upwork or wherever you hire. Talk to people. Always hire 3 people. Never hire one person. This is the biggest learning that I want to give people away. Okay, you are business owners. Your time is money. Do not waste your time. You want to hire 3 people and then fire 2. Okay, so you want to hire 3, give them initial training, see who sticks, who kind of in line what you want, and keep that person. Let the other 2 go. If you hire one, you're gonna waste your month and then you start over. And that's the frustration with everybody. Man, I hired that person, trained them for 2 months, now they're gone. I don't want to do this. This sucks. I can do my comms by myself. Here we go. Right? So hire 3 people, keep one. If you can keep all 3, that's the best problem a business owner can have. I
Yeah,
had
you
that.
just scale to the needs of three if it works, right? But
You
go in with the idea of
you,
them only keeping one. But if you keep
you
two,
what?
great. If you keep three, awesome.
You just tripled your business, by the way. If you find 3 people
Yeah.
who come for you, you literally just triple your business. Period.
So let me ask you just out of curiosity here, because you just said it. You've done this numerous times. When you
Yes.
hire three and keep one, how many times have you actually kept all three thus
Uh,
far? Has it
more,
happened?
more than I planned.
Oh, it has
More.
happened. Okay.
Yes.
So that's
And
good.
matter of fact, we hired 7 people in Philippines, and my idea was to keep 3. I said, hey, you know what? We're gonna hire 7, 8. Some of these fall off. Freaking nobody fall off. Everybody doing comp. Everybody. You know why? One, I showed them the opportunity. They're coming from a village. They saw the opportunity. I like, hey, you know what? Let's go. Let's roll. Okay. Some were decent. Some were better than others. But hey, you know what? If you can crank out a comp with me and you are like 90%, 85% accurate, I'm gonna keep you, man. Because I know over a period of time you'll get better. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the patience that you need to have. Do not expect results on day one. Keep patience. They will come through. Give them the confidence. Spend some time. We got Zoom. Okay. But I always hired 3 people. And I'm not joking. Like most of the positions that I need more than one person, I hired 3. Very exceptional that I hire one person. For example, my executive assistant, I cannot hire 3 executive assistants and then let 2 go. So I have to hire one. And it's a pain because I have let several of them go and I have to kind of redo the whole thing because I cannot just hire 3 and select one. It just doesn't work in certain positions. But in a position of cold calling, in a position of comms, in a position of listing properties, never hire one person. And that's the cost of doing business, guys. But hey, nothing is more expensive than your time. Okay? You
Yeah.
hiring 3
And
people?
obviously this isn't day one. I mean, you're getting your feet wet, you're getting going. You gotta this isn't he's not saying go out just so you I mean you can even clarify. You're not saying go hire all these people before you've even marketed. Obviously, this is you're scaling. We're talking about scaling here.
Yeah,
So it's the next, okay, I've
yeah,
got some money coming in, I'm putting it back in my business. This
exactly.
is what you're using it for.
Exactly. Yeah, take that money, put it back. And the big thing is, you're not hiring nobody. You were saying, hey, look, you are an intern here. You are a 1 week intern. That's what I tell people. You come in, you only have 1 week. You prove yourself the first week, then you have 1 month to yourself. You prove 1 month to yourself, then you have 3 months. And if you can prove 3 months, then you have a job here. Just tell them
That's
up front.
awesome. Yeah.
If they
And
want to
obviously
sign
it's
up,
worked. I mean, that's the key. You've
yep,
proven that it works. The idea you've implemented and it's worked for you. So
right?
you're doing a lot, and I will say that this is interesting because I think it. Well, okay, we'll just put it out here. I mean, because I hear it all the time, and I don't see it, but and Genus and I talk about it. People talk all the time about how competitive and how ridiculous land investing is now. And
It
don't
is.
get me wrong, it has competition, but it's
Yeah.
nothing. I came from the housing world. I know what housing world's like. It's nothing. Even now, it's nothing compared to that. So how, I mean, you're doing a ton, so how are you, what's your view on competition, or how are you handling competition, or how are you making it irrelevant based on the amount that you're doing? I mean, what's your view on all of that?
Man, the people saying competition, they haven't even started in business. They're not putting enough work. I mean, the bar is set so low in land business that even if you hustle a little bit than everybody else, you have deals. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it is. It did got, competitive over a period of time, but the bar is set so low still in the land business. People still shy away from even picking the phone and calling that seller, right? They want just signed contracts coming in the mail. They don't even like, guys, we have to come out of that 2017, 2016 era because things have moved on. Okay. People have other ways of reaching out and all that kind of stuff. But hey, look, I mean, margins will go thinner, but at the same time, that's why you want to scale. You wanna get more deals going, okay? And once you mature in your process, you go for higher deals because not many people are chasing those higher deals. It needs more sophistication. It needs more experience, that kind of stuff. 5,000, 10,000. There's nothing wrong. We still close those deals. But at the same time, hey, after 7 years of experience, we want to do $500,000 deals, and they're out there. And the funny part is,
Mhm.
I don't think it takes dramatically anything different to do a half a million than you want to end up doing a 10, 20, $30,000 deal. Okay, try it.
Absolutely not.
You'll
We
be
talk.
surprised.
All it is adding a zero. It's all
Yep,
it is. It's adding a zero. It's
exactly.
and I will say, I mean, one of the things, and you've lived through it, so you can talk a little bit about it, because I think people get the mentality of what happened. COVID really, like, kind of like did a big swing, and
Yeah.
you just put a property out, and it was gone, and it was like a property's worth 50 grand. People were buying them for 35, $40,000 because they didn't care. They'd make $10,000 tomorrow. And
Yep.
that wasn't the reality,
Mm-hmm.
before. You couldn't sell a $50,000 piece of property for $50,000. And today, unless you're in one of the super high end hot markets, you can't sell a $50,000 piece of property for $50,000 right now in January
Right.
2025, like you could in
Uh,
January of 2021.
uh-huh.
So, people just need to come to grips with the market shift too, and what that means. We're gonna, we buy lower, but we also have to sell lower. Or you buy higher, that means you can sell higher. It works both
Right.
ways. And
Yes.
people are so hung up on, well, I could sell that for $50,000 X, and it's like, well, we don't live in that world anymore.
Yeah. And that's why scaling will be so important moving forward. Because imagine if your margins are shrinking, the only way you can compensate for the shrinking margin is by doing more deals. And now, if you don't know how to scale and you don't want to scale, hey, you know what? Maybe might not be that business for you that you thought 3, 4 years back when somebody signed this up for you. So scaling is important. And when you scale, the good thing is when you learn to scale, not many people are able to do it because it takes time and it takes a little bit time. It takes a little bit of vision from the business owner. So you got to have vision, put a vision together, have people come on board, show them the vision, what you're striving for. But once you have that thing going on for you, then you won't be worried about competition. I'm not worried about competition at all. I gonna do my
Yeah, I'm
thing.
not either. I tell you all the time, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, there are people out
And
there.
one of the things I say too, and maybe you're good at this too, is you probably trained your people, is I tell people you can also help competition be irrelevant by making yourself stand out more. Because we have
100%.
people all the time that tell us, I've had 5 people contact me on this, but you resonated with me for
Yep,
X.
yep. Happens all the time. I had never had somebody call me 5 times and still trying to solve my problem and trying to buy my land. So I give that to you and like, okay, let's get it done, man. What am I
Yeah.
missing? What are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How can we get this done? So yeah, I mean, talking to people and understanding where they are, guys, as we move forward, more sophistication will be needed. And this is a time to like really come to terms like, hey, I'll be more sophisticated in my business, whether it's been on the phone, making offers, scaling, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a reminder, everybody, I'm seeing some posts coming up here. We'll hit those at the end. So for those of you, because we had a lot of people join in live after, a lot of people were very interested in what you just talked about. So we'll hit those at. But this is interactive. We'll go over the questions at the end. So go ahead and post in the chat. Or again, you can turn your cameras on at the end and ask them yourself. But we'll hit that up. A lot of them are asking basically the same thing. So they're very interested in your structure and how you're doing that. But let's just, some simpler questions, or maybe a simple, maybe not simple, but we'll try to keep it. You know, if you were to sum it down to the single biggest thing you've learned in this journey over the last 7 or 8 years, what would you say that is?
Oh man, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of one single thing, but I think I always had my why clear and my goals clear. Okay. And I always try to hang out in the company of people who have bigger goals than me. Then my goals look so small. Then I'm like, whatever, what in the world I was thinking. And it's just like, hey, somebody's trying to do 100 million. And you're like, I'm still at a million, I'm crying. And this guy's trying to put a strategy of 100 million. Well, let's go, right? So be in a company of people who want to do 10x, 100x more than what you're thinking, and then your goal look pale in front of there, and you will have the creativity kicks in and, you get enthusiasm, you get motivation, you get a direction and all that. Another thing is like spend money on yourself, guys. Spend money on your self-development. That's what I have done over the years. And I still spend thousands of dollars, every year on me, on my team members. Like whatever you think the next level is, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, there are a bunch of people out there. Okay. Some are better than others, but I think whatever it takes, like spend money on yourself, go out there, develop yourself, being people who are doing bigger businesses, so that you can get that inspiration. Sometimes you just need inspiration. Sometimes you just need to get going.
Yeah, and that changes too. I mean, your inspiration when you first started, obviously, and now you just mentioned two huge names, two of the
Yeah,
bigger names out there. So that grows, as you grow too. I think a lot. I think that's an issue where people tend to look at like maybe this person, and they're like, "That's my." But then 5 years later, it's like, well, you've blown past
yeah,
them, so you need to look further. Then you can't be looking at them anymore. You have to be looking at the
yeah.
next thing.
One of the advice great advice I got in my career is never, if you're looking to make a million, never get in mentorship with a millionaire. Find a multimillionaire or billionaire. Okay. If you're a millionaire, do not look anybody less than a billionaire to seek where you want to go next thing in life. Okay. Just skip 2 levels. Just skip 2 levels. And it's hard. Once you get to like 10 million, $20 million business, like, okay, there are not many people around you who have built $100 million business. Then you need to branch out and say, okay, who are these people who are running $100 million business? How can I be in that circle so I don't make those big mistakes to get to that level, right? So wherever you are, just 10x and see who are these people around that I need to hang out with. And that will really help you kind of catapult your success in business, just kind of cut through it. When I was in land, man, I didn't find many people running an 8-figure, 7-figure business. I'm like, damn, everybody talks about this and somebody's doing like 6-figure, 7-figure. I don't even know if they're doing it. Some people say it, but don't actually do it. So I started branching out to like people who are actually doing business. It doesn't have to be land. They could be selling popsicles and making $40 million. You got to be with those guys because the way they're thinking about people and process and pricing and all that kind of stuff, it will like open your mind to something different that you can come back and apply in your business. So I know I'm kind of going off tangent, but you just got to
No, it's
find,
great. It's not
yeah,
off tangent. I teach that. I've talked to students over the years. Maybe me and you had a conversation on this early on. Is because
right.
one of the things that I've said right from the beginning is you need to understand what business you're in. We're not even in the land business. We're in a marketing business,
Yep.
right? And So go out there and find people that are great at marketing that are at that next level and emulate them. Land's our product, right?
Yeah.
But we're in the marketing business and we're on different levels, marketing ourselves, marketing our product, all different. So uh, it's not off tangent. I mean, it's 100% accurate because so many people just tend to focus on these steps. And in reality, you should be focusing over here on these steps. So yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And it's fun to build a business, quite honest with you. I mean, I've traveled countries. I've been to Egypt, Philippines, Nicaragua, and just being with people, building business, coaching them, teaching them, doing some community work, coming back. I mean, you don't have to get bored, or you it can become fun in
Yeah,
your
I
life.
love watching your posts. I mean, you're always putting this stuff out on like Facebook and stuff, and we see you
Yeah.
going all over. And one thing I will say is and I believe in this wholeheartedly. So I love seeing you do it because to your point, what you said a minute ago, so many people say, "Well, I did this and I'm doing it," but they never. It's nice they're saying it, but you don't see anything to actually like. One of the things that I talk about all the time is like I tell people and then I show them like
Yeah.
instead of just talking and that's like you're like right in the midst of like you're out there and here's my group and there's Anshul and
Yeah.
your wife. You're literally both sitting right there, right in the middle
Yeah.
of them, you
It's fun.
know. So
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. I mean, not everybody has to like travel overseas. I mean, if you get a chance, why not? Beautiful country, beautiful people. But whatever it takes to get close with your people, be on Zoom, and we do virtual parties, man. I mean, we literally do virtual parties in our company. Christmas is like a big thing. Like at the end of the year, we have like 3, 4 hour virtual Zoom party. Everybody have fun, and we exchange ideas, and we are having fun and all doing all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what I mean. If you can go and travel overseas, I mean, you can just have those kind of things going on in your own company. Whatever people you have 5 people. We used to do Halloween with 5 people, and now we have like whatever people we have, and we still do that. It's so much fun.
yeah, nice. So just family atmosphere,
Yeah.
making it more than just business, making money off of them, making it goes back to what you said 20 minutes ago, right? The human aspect as
Yes.
opposed to just the yeah, huge. So, um is there anything you wish you did differently? Like in say the first 6 months or a year?
Yeah, I wasn't a big process guy, and I wouldn't prematurely start writing all my process. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but because I shy away from writing process, I'm not a huge like typing process and all that kind of stuff. It took me a little bit time to start documenting when I was coaching people, because what I was doing, hey, I hired 3 comms people and I gotta coach them. So I personally used to coach them and spend all this time. But then over a period of like, okay, why not I just create some basic material and coaching? So when I onboard them, I don't have to spend the time. They can get to a certain level when it comes to doing comps. And from there, I take them forward. So I would say this, guys, whatever you're doing, that is repeatable and you see that being repeated moving forward, please, please, please document it. So when you hire the next person, you don't have to spend that time. They can go over documentation, they can go over videos. For you, it does 2 things. It saves time for you coaching them. And 2, if they're not the right fit, you're not hostage to them. Because sometimes people hire them, they're not working, and man, I got nobody. I just got this guy and I coach them for 6 months. I have to somehow make them work. No, 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 no. Don't be hostage to the people that you hire in the first place. Okay? Document the process, let them go through it. If they're worthy enough of your time, your personal time, then you take them to the next level. Otherwise, on to the next person.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
something that I would have done a little bit differently. But hey, it's all looking back, right? In the
Yeah, well,
rear.
I mean, and it's always hindsight's 2020. I mean, we're all like that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why. But the point is, for those who are listening and aren't there yet,
Yep.
and one thing I'll add to that I did and I think is huge is if you're doing these aspects in your business, record yourself doing them because that's a
Yeah.
perfect training. But if you're doing it and you're having a conversation with somebody, you're listing a property, you're negotiating, whatever it may be, turn on the camera and two things. You can use it one to refine your own skills because you're like, oh man, I did that. It's
Mhm.
like, and then you fix it. Or if you do hone in and have it really done well, there's your training video or one of your training videos to somebody else. So, and everybody nowadays, I mean, you just flip on your webcam and there you go. It's like record yourself. And if it
Yeah.
stinks, learn from it, delete it, and do it again. It's like
And
it's
now
not
you
a big deal.
And now you have AI. I mean,
Yeah,
we leverage AI a
yeah,
lot, writing SOPs, videos. There's this app called guide.com that literally all you have to do is just kind of share your screen, hover over, and it just literally records everything for you. So yeah, things have become a little bit simpler how you can record these trainings.
yeah, definitely. So, Um, I'm not. This isn't to knock anybody or anything like that. This is more about you. But there's a lot of land education out there now. A lot of people, like I said, started investing in COVID. They honed in on a certain strategy. A lot of that was, like I said, buying high, selling high. A lot of selling to builders. A lot of that, and a lot of these people are saying, well, that's drying up now. They need to pivot. Some people are even making the statements like, well, traditional methods don't work any longer. It's because they never really learned them, right? I mean, because
Right.
traditional methods work, I'm still using them. So you told us you've basically done the same thing all along. So what
Yeah.
do you say to the people that say, I've got to overcomplicate this? Traditional methods don't work. I've got to do this. I've got to, all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I mean, the concept of buying low and selling high hasn't really changed in this business, right? I mean, there are some subdivide stuff you can do, and I wish I knew a little bit about these, subdivides. I let so many opportunities go past by me just because I did not have education on subdivide. But whatever you're doing, letters or cold calling or text messaging, just be consistent. Know your numbers. How many texts you have to send? Well, if you have to send 5,000 texts to get one deal, now you know how many texts you have to send in a month in order to lock those number of deals, right? So bring all this down to numbers. Bring your business down to numbers, because when you bring your business down to numbers, then you have predictability, right? And you're like, okay, I want to make $1 million this year. Okay, what does that mean? Do the reverse math and see down to how many letters you have to send or how many cold calling you have to do. And that's it. That's your number. And now if you're not hitting that number every month, you know you're not gonna meet that 1 million mark. And keep some buffer, right? And you really need to start putting everything in your business in terms of numbers. How many calls do I need to do? How many people I need to call in order to put a deal under contract? What's my average deal size? How much did I do last year? If I did $20,000 in average deal size, if I want to make $1 million, what does that look like in number of deals? And if I know that one deal takes 5,000 letters, multiply that thing. And here we go. That's how
Yeah,
much you have to do. This is how much action you have to take this year.
yeah, absolutely. And I would even add to that, and you can talk about it if you want a little bit, is because I tell people all the time is once you're figuring that out, hone it in even more
Yeah,
because it may take 5,000 letters to get a $20,000 deal. If you want
right.
to do a $2,000 deal, it's going to take you 500 letters.
Yes.
But obviously you've got to do that 10 times
Yep.
to see. So figure out where you want to be.
Yeah.
Even after you, obviously you have to know your numbers first and where you're coming from, but figuring that all out as you're moving forward, absolutely. I mean, that's a goal. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, what about somebody brand new, aspiring investors? What piece of advice would you give to somebody? They have limited resources. They don't have any experience yet. They haven't even done anything yet. They're just kind of looking at stuff right now. I mean, what would be your advice to somebody like that? That's is this where I want to be type of thing?
Yeah. Guys, first of all, before you think of like I love to scale and I have a company and I have people, but I did not let anything, I did everything on by myself until I see and learn the business in and out. I see people coming day one. I want to outsource. What are you going to outsource? You don't even know what exists in the business. How does it work? Learn the business to the point that you know it, because then you can decide what to outsource. Okay. That includes call sellers. Okay. That includes make offers. That includes follow up. That includes put the listing on Facebook Marketplace. That includes talk to your buyers. Okay. You got to do this by yourself to the point that you really understand the business and you have some money rolling in. Okay. Until that point, I wouldn't advise anybody to hire nobody. I mean, you can hire your wife if you wanted to, or your spouse, whatever the case is. I did
Yeah,
hire
working right
my wife.
next to you or something. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And say, hey, can you just help me put this listing together? But I would do it myself. You got to hustle. You got to hustle for a couple months unless you exactly know how deals work. Because if you do not do that, you will start blaming people around you. Oh, I hired that person, they screwed it up. Oh, I hired that person, screwed it up. How about you doing it all by yourself to understand what it takes to get a deal closed and funded? And do that 10 times and then decide which person you would like to hire first. By the way, my first hire was, I hate to do due diligence, so I hired the first person to do due diligence for me, which is calling the counties, figuring out the utility stuff and all that. I used to hate it. So that was my first hire, even before I taught somebody how to do comps. So this would be my advice: hustle and see how it works. Because unless you have complete pulse on your business and you don't know how many phone calls it takes, you don't know how many letters it takes, you don't know what kind of comps I need to do, you will not have pulse on your business, and you will eventually fail. So that would be
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
hustle.
I
Hustle.
love it, love it, love it, love it. Every second, everything you just said, because I teach that up and down. And I've told it, I tell people all the time, you need to know your business before you teach somebody else. And that every part of it. People tell all the time, like, well, I want to outsource to a call center. Like, because that's one of the first ones, right? Or I
Yeah.
want now you can use AI or whatever. And I'll be like, that's fine. Don't get me wrong, because I hate taking calls, but I'm like, take calls. Answer those phone calls at the beginning and talk to those people and know what you're doing before you go try to hire. Because when the call center messes up, which they're going to do, or when
Mm-hmm.
you're if you have dedicated people that answer your phone, when they mess up, and that's just a small little inkling, never mind everything else. Due diligence is a bigger one, right?
Yes.
It's like, well, I want to outsource due diligence, and you probably remember this. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but there was a relatively popular due diligence company that was out 7 8 years ago that
Yeah.
everybody was running to because they were so cheap, but they were
Yep.
messing up 50% of the due diligence. So it's like,
They were cheap for a reason. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, don't get fancy, guys. Starting a business is not about getting fancy and outsourcing. Starting the business is learning yourself, and then you will figure out what things you like to do and what things you don't like to do. And I completely agree. The things that drain your energy, your mental bandwidth, you just got to outsource it. But you cannot be rushing through this thing. You cannot be desperate running your business. If you're desperate running your business, you rather work for someone else. Okay. And there are
yeah.
people who are working for someone else and they have way better life. Maybe they're second, they're second person, third person in their company. They make great money, they have better life. And so business is not about desperation, getting fancy. Business is getting hands dirty, getting in it, learning it, and then picking and choosing what you want to outsource. I outsource things that I don't like, but I can afford to after closing that many deals, and I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I don't want to spend time on my weaknesses. I am It's just like, okay, somebody else
Yeah.
can do it for me.
Makes, yeah, 100% makes sense. And I think that was, you said I can afford it. And I think that's a huge key there because you built that up. And one thing I will say here, because I want to make sure this stands out to everybody, because I think people like get these things in their head is don't don't look at this as in you're going to do this tomorrow. Don't look at this if stuff is hitting you that you're even going to do it next year. Maybe a little bit of it, but you've been at this for 8 years. I've been doing it for 14.
Mm-hmm.
Don't compare yourself to people that have already been doing this and are growing, and we're still growing in this.
Yep.
It's like set these goals and set, like you said, set expectations and get everything lined out. But don't. I think I said at the very beginning, right? It's not to emulate this. It's to take the points that resonate and fit and put what you can put into play right now, and
Yeah.
then go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
So that being said, I mean, probably the biggest question, um, the bottom line is a lot of people are simply not looking to do your level of business. We talked about that, right? I
We
don't get
don't
me wrong. I
know.
mean, they're impressed
We
with
don't
a
know.
if building an 8 figure business, if that's what you're going to do. I mean, how can you not be impressed with somebody that does that? But a lot of people are not looking to go that far, right? But they still want to be successful. So if somebody wanted to, I just used the word. I said not to do it, but now I'm going to use it anyways. If somebody wanted to emulate your success, but they
Yeah.
wanted to go, low to mid 6 figures net income, that type of thing, what do you say to those to that?
I don't know why you will not like to grow your business. The only reason you'll not like to grow your business because you don't know how to grow your business, right? Like if I tell you you have to work 8 hours, which you have to for the rest of your life, but you will have a multi-million dollar company, wouldn't you give it a shot in your lifetime? Probably you would. Like, man, I gotta work 8 hours anyways. I mean, you're working 8 hours right now. Just be honest, right? But if you have to work the same 8 hours for the rest of your life, but you end up building a multi-million-dollar company, you're probably thinking of giving it a shot because then you can sell the business, guys. I mean, building a 7, 8 figure business, what comes with it, if you have something going on, you can sell the thing at certain multiplier. Like think about in those terms. Do not think about like, oh my gosh, I have to get to 1 million or 2 million. If you have people, you have process, you have systems, that means value in a business. And not many people are thinking of building a business that they can maybe at a point they can sell, right? And so my thing to you is put some systems together, put people together, put process together, build something that can run without you. Not completely. There is no business. Okay. If Steve Jobs would have been alive running Apple, okay, Dell, who started the business then in technologies, he's still the CEO of the company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company with $1 trillion evaluation at this point. So they're not retiring. But my thought process is if you're gonna do this anyways, put a company together that can run without you to a certain extent because there are benefits of that you're going to reap at the end of the cycle, whatever that looks like to you, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 7 years. You can sell this at a certain multiplier and take that money and invest somewhere else. Okay. I'm just giving you that vision because there is nothing like, oh, I mean, this is a baby. Once you have a baby, you cannot say, hey, stop at 7 years. I don't want you to grow any further. Stop. No, it's a baby, man. You have given a birth to something that is designed to grow. Okay. Some grows faster, some grows slower. Okay. But you cannot just shut a business at a certain time. I'm not going to grow this business beyond 1 million. It's not even in your hands. Okay. Somebody's told me if your business is not, if your business is not going up, it's not going down, it's going down. It's tick tock, tick tock. Okay. A flat business is not a business. Okay. Your business gotta be growing. Okay. It doesn't have to grow 4x, but like, I mean, if you're doing a $1 million revenue, think about doing 1.5 next year. And you will have that capacity. You will have that mental bandwidth. When you get to 1 million, you want to do a 1.5 because you know how to get to 1 million and that will take you to 1.5. And maybe you want to do a $2 million business. My point being is do not get scared or like, man, I don't want to do $1 million business or I don't want to do a $2 million business. Running a $1 or $2 million business is easier running a 200K business because you're not doing all those stuff that you used to do at a 200K. You're managing the business at that point. Okay, if you have the right people, process, and things in place. So my encouragement will be like not to get overwhelmed or thinking about too much. Just take one day at a time. Put people in place, put process in place, put your system in place. Okay, document them, make things repeatable. Step away from your business for a day or two and see what breaks and go fix it. And then again, step away from your business for a couple of days and see what breaks and then fix it to a point when you can step away from your business for a week and 10 and it's still running, man, then you have a business. Okay.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
that's,
I think it's huge because you talked about selling it. And one of the things we talk about with land all the time, obviously, is knowing your exit strategy.
yeah,
You're just basically taking the same exact premise instead of a property, you're applying it to
yeah,
your business instead.
because your business is a product at that time and somebody wants to take that over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody like, hey, you know what? He got people, he got process, he got systems. I can take that thing over.
Yeah.
Right.
And I 100% agree with you. I mean, it's been proven over and over and over again. I mean, one of the things they say is making 100 million is hard. I'm sorry, making 100,000 is harder than going from 100,000 to a million.
Correct.
Making a million is harder than going from 1 to 10 million. Making 10 million is harder than going from 10 to a 100 million. And making 100 million is harder than going from 100 million to a billion. I mean,
Yeah.
that they've said that over and over and over and over through time and with all different businesses that are out there. And obviously it's been proven. And yes, you're never going to be completely able to remove yourself. If you need further proof to that, what I tell people all the time is watch Shark Tank. You just hear
Yeah.
them talk because they always say, I'm not going to go work for you for X%. I'm not going to put my time. So obviously they have teams. These are, billionaires. These guys have teams, but they're still saying my time,
My
their
time.
effort. So they're not willing to do it for that. So if at that level, which is like the highest level, they're not willing and they're not able, then we're not going to be either able to either.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody here don't want to work.
Yeah, I
right?
don't either. But yeah,
But I mean, you know, you're gonna end up working anyways, guys. Why not just and like work on things that you can build for the future, maybe for your kids, right? Something you can teach your kids. Because if you haven't built a real business, which by the way, if you're doing things, all these things by yourself, you don't have a business, you have a job, okay? And that's what Robert Kiyosaki taught us in those four quadrants. And that's the biggest problem with small businesses. They don't have a business, they have a job, and their job is worse than working for somebody else for 200K and still having those weekends and everything. And that's the reality. So if
yeah,
you're
they're
in
just
this,
self-employed.
yeah, you just if you're in this, let's just get to the point where you have a business, you have some kind of things going on, and it takes time in the beginning, but it's also fun. Okay. Trust in the process. People have done this so many times here. Okay. So again, process, people, process, document those process. And one last thing I'm gonna tell here is KPIs. Okay. Key performance indicators. Always have KPIs for everybody, including yourself as the business owner. First, put a KPI to yourself. What you doing in your business before having KPIs for your VAs, okay? And you got to have a KPI for your company. Like I'm surprised by business owners; they don't even know how much they want to make the next year. I'm like, okay, what kind of business is that? Okay, you got to pick a number, whatever that number is. Pick a number in 2025. I want to make this kind of money. Okay, and then put a KPI on yourself. How are you gonna do it? And then everybody in your company got to have a KPI. Hey, you have a cold caller? 5 calls, 5 qualified leads every day. Okay, KPI. It won't be perfect, but you got to have a KPI to hold them accountable to. Okay.
Yeah.
So do not run it like a family business because you know what? Family businesses are very like disappointing and they get disappointed along the line. I won't run it as a family business. Run it as a business where you can hold people accountable. And the only way you can hold them accountable by having KPIs and discuss KPIs even before you board them. In the interview, this business runs by KPIs. If you were ever to hire for this position, these are 5 KPIs. Do you agree to it? Freaking take an oath at the time of interviewing them. And they say, yes, I agree to this. All right, you have a chance to even go to the next level. Put some KPIs in place. That will take a lot of headache in making people accountable, feeling people accountable. And then they know if they're not doing it, either they're going to fire themselves and go somewhere else before you do that because nobody likes the humiliation of getting fired. They know they're not meeting their metrics. And next thing you know, they're gone. They're not going to be on your payroll. They're not going to be wasting your time and you can hire the other person. And why you can hire the other person? Because you have training documented, you have documentation. It's not going to take you that much time to hire your next person and get them going. Okay, it's a process, guys. You will get better at it. But this is how multi-million-dollar companies run their thing. There's nothing
Yeah,
different about those
absolutely.
companies. I've been in those rooms, I've been talking to those people, and they do the exact same thing, even running a 600 million, $1 billion company. It's a process and people.
And one of the things I want to come back to real quick that you or just reiterate because I really want to resonate with everybody here is put it on yourself because we do that and you may be the only person that you're putting it on right now this year. Fine. It's only on you then. This is what you need to do. This is what I need to do, or your spouse needs to do, or maybe your one team member, or whatever it may be. Then you grow, you put those processes in for others. But there's no reason that anybody listening to this, anybody watching this that's interested in doing anything, you need to be putting that on yourself right now because there's absolutely no reason not. You don't wait for stuff to start trickling in and then be like, okay, now I'm going to do. You got to reverse engineer that, to know that and know what's going to. And you did say again, you've said it probably 20 times tonight, and it's huge. It's not going to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. If it doesn't hit exactly, it doesn't hit exactly, but at least it's a threshold and you're seeing like where you are in relation to it. You may say 5 qualified leads a day. Some days it may be one, some days it may be 15, but end of the year, end of the month, you're going to see that balancing out. And that's where the key needs to be
Yeah.
for us as well.
Keep patience. Keep patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, shameless plug time for yourself. I mean, you came and joined us. So any upcoming projects, initiatives, anything that you're excited about would like to share with the audience?
Oh man. Well, we kind of doing this AI stuff lately, where we have started putting a custom AI where the AI is listening to seller calls and really ranking them by motivation, picking up key phrase. So we are excited. because we are using that internally. And at some point in time, maybe we can make it available to people outside. But where I was struggling because we have so much lead volume. Again, I try to create problems that I love solving for. We had such a great lead volume, and sometimes the leads were falling through the cracks. Some great deals were not being getting answered at the right time. And so what we have done, we have started like AI listening into these calls and kind of ranking them, the motivation level. Hey, if seller said, hey, I just want to get rid of it. Hey, I wish I could have sold my property yesterday. I have so many problems going on. I just want to get rid of it. So, we kind of started taking those phrases, ranking them, put a motivation level. And what we also want to do is we creating this where how to solve for seller's objection. If somebody says this, I'm not interested in selling. Oh, well, how do you answer that? I'm not interested in working with the tile company. How you guys, get around that. So we have some kind of AI stuff going on. We have a pilot going on right now. Maybe in probably a couple of weeks, we're gonna make it available for like land investors. So that's something that I'm excited about. We are working on, and we want to take that to the next level. Again, it just kind of we're trying to solve our internal problems here because we have so much leads coming in. We sometimes end up missing these big deals, and that really upsets me. And I'm like, okay, I got to fix that thing with AI. So that's one of the projects. If you guys would like to be part of the pilot, I can throw a link on there, or Jonathan can share that link with you all, and you can be part of the pilot. But yeah, it's for free. We can just join it and kind of test it and try it out. But yeah, but other than that, I'm always hiring. So, we have positions, and some are US based, of course, of acquisitions manager, and other positions out there. So if you know somebody who in the land space don't want to run their own business, but interested in being in the land space and making six figures, come talk to me, reach out. So that's some of the things that we are doing right now.
Awesome. And Facebook, I mean, is that the best place to you post out there all
Yeah,
the time and you're out there? I mean, is that the best place to reach out to
yeah,
you?
yeah. Facebook me, DM me. Yeah, that all work.
Okay. So there you go, everybody. If you're hearing that, and somebody said they've already requested to be a beta tester.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
we
awesome.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, we're just gearing up for that. My tech guy is kind of setting everything up. We're excited about this. We are very early in that process. Of course, we're trying to solve some problems internally, but I think it can help a lot of land investors like looking at their own deals.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just go on a limb. I mean, it's early stages, but I'm gonna go on a limb that there's some obviously that somebody says I want to get rid of this property right now. That's pretty, but I'm guessing that it's going to pick up on some things that
Yeah.
you would have never thought of as like if they say this, it usually
Yes.
means they're highly motivated, and it's probably stuff that we've heard over all the years, and you're like never resonated in our mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna take an offer. I'm not gonna take an offer, or I'm not gonna sign anything today. Well, they're signing. If you have been long
Yeah,
enough,
and
and
that's an
then,
example,
man,
right?
I'm not going to sign anything right now. Send me an offer. I'll take a look at it. And they're signing. Okay, like things like that. So it's really intelligent. We have customized it to the from 7, 8 years of experience and listening to these calls. How do we rank them? They have various parameters that we use to kind of rank it. Where they are in their land journey, how many years they have been owning this property. You know, looking at a certain demographic and just kind of combining all of that and kind of giving it a score. So yeah, it's still in early stages, but we're excited about that.
Awesome. Couple bonus questions, quick, a little unrelated. So we talked a little bit about talking about Kiyosaki. You talked about 4 Hour Work Week, stuff like that. So we both read, listen to many business books a year. Many here do. So what are you currently reading, or what do you put on your must read list?
Dude, I'm very impressed with you, by the way. I must say that. Okay. I don't nearly read as much as you do. I have to admit that. And I'm like, man, I don't know how you get so much time. And obviously what you prioritize in your life, you get it done. And I'm really impressed.
I just straight up, I'm a listener. I put it on Audible. I listen at 1.7.
Yeah.
2 is a little too fast for me. 1.5 is, I can concentrate at 1.7. And when I'm exercising, when I'm driving, when I'm doing,
Yeah.
it's amazing when you're basically doubling the speed, like how
Yeah.
much. And then if it's like phenomenal, what I'll do is I'll bookmark it and I'll go back and I'll listen to it or read that
Yeah,
chapter like at a much slower digestive level than,
yeah,
because there's a lot of fluff in every book. They got to sell, they got to put in the sizzle and all that. So it's
sure.
like, let's blow through it, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's really how it works, honestly.
No, that's impressive. I'm reading this book from Brandon Dawson. It's called The Nine-Figure Mindset. Brandon Dawson, he is a partner to Grant Cardone. Those guys run about a $700 million company, which is called Cardone Ventures. He had done a $153 million exit in his own business. So he has a lot of understanding about how to build a business and sell a business and kind of gone full circle. So I'm reading this book right now, The Nine-Figure Mindset from Brandon Dawson. By the way,
That's
here's a
actually
great.
on my it's on my list. I actually have it in my
Okay.
queue.
Yeah, that's great. There's another book from his wife, Natalie Dawson, which is Teamwork. Highly recommend. Highly, highly, highly recommend. If you want to scale business, she gives some very practical, easy to follow kind of advice. So Teamwork from Natalie Dawson. I really like that book. Something that you and it's a thin read, so it's not going to take a long time. Written in a very simple words that anyone can follow, I believe. Not much rah-rah and practical advice. So I would highly recommend that.
I just wrote it down. Yeah, some of the small books, like I read one a couple years ago. It's still one of the best I've read. It's called Blue Fishing. I never even heard of it, but it was highly recommended. Little dinky book, and the book was amazing. It's like one of
Mhm.
the. It's sometimes that's the way it works. I mean, I was talking to somebody today. They said they were reading Richest Man in Babylon. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been out for 100 years, but that book's like again a little dinky book, and it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. So sometimes it's like people get so hung up on like these big thick, and it's
Mm.
just a bunch of nonsense. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's huge. What about one final question on like kind of like a bonus section here? What daily habit, not business, non business daily habit that you think is essential?
Uh, I I journal before I go to bed. I just put my goals down, and there are days I do not, and I know that I'm sidetracked, and I come back to it, and now it has become a practice. So I journal whatever. It's my way of like venting out, spit out in the world what I want in my life. Hey, I want to be a CEO of $100 million company, so I just gonna write it in present tense as if it's already happened. And I've heard this so many places and it works. And and I do it. It's just one of those cliche things that you read and look into videos and but that's really helped me. And I also like write gibberish, like whatever I think about the day and all that kind of stuff. But I like to write before I go to bed, and it really personally helps me. So
Yeah, it's great. And it
yeah,
and it does take you away from things that don't help. Is like you probably see better sleep because of it, because that's
yeah,
better than watching TV,
yes,
being on your phone, something like that
yeah,
it's distracting you. It's actually creating an extra benefit.
yeah. There's something about you putting that pen on a paper and jotting down and your mind kind of being like with you for those few minutes that you are putting your stuff down on a paper. It gives you a lot of energy. There's some energy that comes and kind of gives you a lot of clarity. It's your time. So yeah, over a period of time, I just kind of enjoy doing it now.
Awesome. All right, a few questions here that came up.
Okay.
Anybody else, if you have questions, you can feel free to post them. They're pretty much all about the same thing. You love everybody on your team building loved it. So, and again, you don't have to get. I mean, obviously, some of this is processes that are to you, and we understand that. You don't have to divulge your
Yeah.
entire. I think it's more generality. So one person asked, "How do you find your help?" Like they asked Fiverr, Upwork. I mean, what are you using to find these people?
Same guys, I do not have any other way. I go to Upwork.com. I have started sourcing candidates on LinkedIn, even for overseas. So sometimes you get great talent, people doing MBA and all that kind of stuff, and they probably don't have jobs in their country, but they have knowledge. They want to do something, and so you can have some really great talent going on LinkedIn. So try LinkedIn. I do Upwork. Um, Also, if you are trying to hire from a very specific country, see what's their local job portal is versus trying to every country have their own local job portal. So figure out what that portal is if you are interested in hiring from a specific country, if that's your thing. And that has really helped us. So yeah. So That's
Yeah.
about it.
So don't basically what you said earlier, don't overthink it. Even though
Yeah.
you're at a higher level, you're using the same tools that
Yeah.
anybody has available.
Yeah. And and
Um,
and and one thing is once you hire somebody and they really work out for you, have them have them reference people that they know. You don't have to go to Upwork. We don't even hire people from Upwork anymore unless it's a new position and we don't have anybody in the company. Majority of my people have come from references, local HR, find the local HR in that city where your guy is. Hey, can you find some local HR for me? And they have tons of resumes already shortlisted, right?
yeah.
Local
Didn't you
people.
mentioned earlier, right? What'd you say? You have like I forgot what term you used. You said you had like a village working for you or
Yeah,
like
yeah. I have a village working for me. Like literally, this is like they have only one restaurant. And it's funny when in the morning one day we say, hey, 6:30, let's have some breakfast, man. We did not find a breakfast place. Period. Zero. We didn't and exists. So like, okay. But yeah, there are people working from a village, a beautiful village. And these people know each other and they want to work together. And that's great. So you don't have to always go to Upwork and find these. Once you have some kind of base built up, some kind of trust factor build up, you can bring those people together.
awesome. Somebody else asked about how you structure your payments. Is it hourly, performance based, commission based? What
Yeah.
do you recommend there? Or is it probably varies, right? Or a
Yeah.
combination of a bunch of different things based on what they're doing.
Right. In my company, everybody has a base and has a commission. I don't care who you are. You might be an admin or you might be my best sales guy. Everybody is base plus commission. And the whole idea is if the company is growing, I want everybody to grow with the company. But if you just have a base, they have no interest to growing with you. I'm like, I don't care. You make 50 or you make 70 or you make 100. I'm gonna get paid at X dollars per hour. And you leaving them no incentive why they want to grow with you. So uh, try if you can have a base and then have a commission because the month that you make more money, they should feel it, man. I put some work in there, and that's why we are making money. Again, this comes back to the idea of you want to build a team because you cannot run a company without a team, and those guys will help you to get where you want to go. So again, the commission can be more aggressive for sales guys, less aggressive for somebody who's in admin position, but always keep that sliding scale kind of thing because that gets them excited. And we did 100K this month. Our commission next month looking good, right? We want to do more of this. They're going to put more energy because they know it's directly proportional of what work they put in. And so think about doing that. And yeah, people like it. People love, when commissions roll out every month.
Yeah, sure. That's especially depending on where they are, what they're making. You talked about, I mean, a village doesn't make no restaurant doesn't have a whole lot. I mean, all of a sudden they're making a nice commit.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest thing. Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody, you are unmuted now and or able to unmute and turn your videos on if you have questions. Let's just see. I think there was only one other one here, which I think you already answered, which we know the answer to, but maybe you can. It says here, does the person doing your comps also do your due diligence, which is not the case, but maybe just a little breakdown really quick. You don't have to give all of them, but like just like what the different. You obviously have a person that does comps. You have somebody that does or people, I should say, not person. Person that does comps. You have people that do due diligence. You just mentioned admin people, so you have people that cold call.
Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna give you this concept, okay, that I learned about in my MBA and how people hire and big companies hire. They look for transferable skills. Okay. Anytime you want somebody to do two or three things, ask this question to yourself. Are those skills transferable? Do they have any kind of commonality? Okay. I see people making cold call and they want the same person to do comps. Two different skill sets, guys. Okay. We are business owners. We can do 15 things because we have vested interest. But if you're hiring somebody, do not think of that person doing like everything for you to the level that they get some kind of mastery. A person doing cold calling, I'd rather keep that guy alone and be master at cold calling for me versus trying to have them cold call. And then the next thing they're doing, they're comping those properties that they qualified. Okay. So think about transferable skills. Due diligence and comps, quite transferable. Okay. You do comps, you got to be smart with some level of due diligence. Right. So those are transferable skills. I might hire a guy who does comps half day and then the other half they do due diligence. Okay. But I'm not going to have my due diligence guy say, hey, you know what? Leave this, make some phone calls with me. That's where you put people up for failure. As a business owner, you don't want to put those guys up for failure. You want to put them up for success. Okay. So always look for transferable skills. If those skills are transferable within those roles, sure, they can do more than one thing. If not, you got to stick and have them do one thing. Never hire part-time. Again, this is advice from me. You rather hire nobody versus hiring part-time, because part-time clearly shows I'm not committed to you, you're not committed to me. The next thing they find a full-time job, guess what? They're gone. They will learn from you and work full-time for somebody else. How fun is that? Never hire part-time. Never interview one person for a position. Okay. Some of the things I'm telling you, it will save you time, headache, and you're gonna start liking your business again, especially when it comes to scaling.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that 100%. We've done part-time people over the years and different things, and it's very difficult to keep them engaged.
Yep.
Obviously, what you said there too. I mean, if you had one person part-time, or I'm sorry, full-time that did comps, you could add due diligence because they're very easily. You could hire one person who's full-time that just does cold calling, because that's obviously a full-time job in itself. That's not a hard thing. So yeah, and I would say, to what you just said there, if people are having a hard time, which it's not, but if anybody is having a hard time wrapping their head around it, it's just think of yourself.
Yeah.
You're not great at everything, right? And you don't like everything. And you don't, you shouldn't. We tell people not to, even as the business owner, don't bounce. You don't get a phone call 1 second, then go do a comp the next, then list of, you're focusing on tasks in certain blocks and certain windows. And as the business owner, where you're vested, so you don't want to set your people that aren't vested, or not as vested, I should say, in your company, to set them up for failure. It's like,
Yeah.
focus on their strengths and let them just do amazing at that job. I mean, because that's the thing. They're
Yep.
only, if they're serious, they're only going to get better at it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think that's it. We're not getting any other questions. Nobody's popping up here. So, Anshul, I want to thank you for joining us. That was huge. A ton of information, a lot of nuggets there. People are saying thank you in the chat. So,
Thank you.
yeah, that was great. And it's. I mean, for me personally, I'm sure I can speak for Genus too. I mean, like I said, we saw you from day one, and
Yeah.
what you did. And so, I mean, we can honestly say, for you, that we saw this work. We saw it come into play, where here's somebody that was working, didn't want to be a slave to their job, didn't want these things, wanted to make, and gut it was vested in it right from the beginning. I said tenacious at the beginning. You were tenacious with, like, just taking in stuff, and here we are now, 7, 8 years later, and this is what has transpired because you've continued to do that.
Yeah. My last thing would be, you're a business owner, try, do not ask for permission. Try. If it breaks, fix it, move on. Do not ask for permission. Can I hire two people? Can this person do three jobs? Try doing it. Have the hire a person and have them do three jobs. If it works, great. Who cares? It's your business. If it
Yeah,
doesn't,
absolutely.
now you know, and go fix it. So you don't
There's
have
a
to.
book out there. It's funny because the book doesn't have great reviews, and I think it doesn't have great reviews because people don't want to believe the concept and don't want to put it into play. But to me, it's one of the best business books I've ever read, and I love the book. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim, and
Uh-huh.
it's basically go out there and just do it like you just said, and you fix it as you're going, and you adjust it accordingly. Give yourself the permission to do it. Just do it, and then
Yep.
fix it. So yeah, I 100% what you just said. Basically the same premise. It's amazing. So, all right. Well, thank you again. A lot of thank yous popping up here on the side, and
Thank
somebody
you
saying they
guys.
remembered
Appreciate
you
it.
from 5 years ago. So, thanks for joining us tonight. So great having you on. We'll stay in touch. And anybody, if you want to reach out to him, when after we're done, this will be posted on YouTube and stuff. We'll put his link for himself on there so that you're able to reach out to him as well. And if you're interested in his beta program or anything like
Yeah.
that. So everybody, have a great evening, and we'll catch you next time on Crushing Land. See ya.
Thanks, guys.